Okay, are you ready for real this time?
I was ready for real
Okay,
last
well,
time.
I'm ready.
Do it then.
All right, let's do it. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Okay. Welcome back to Covenant Therapy Marriage Ministry. I'm Janine.
And I'm married to her.
And there you have it, folks. That is what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so again, thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about sort of like what we did last time. It's our last episode for this season. And we're going to, we have what, three topics? Just some three random topics. And we're just going to sort of be free willy over here and just off script, just talk from our hearts about these three topics. So you're going to be about as surprised as I'm going to be with what we have to talk about today. But I think it'll be good. But really quickly, let me just say that we're going to take a 2-week break. Mm-hmm. This is the last episode of season 1. Then we will come back on March 8th for the beginning of season 2, where we're going to do some fun things, some cool things. We're going to teach you some things, and we're going to talk about some things, and some hybrid version of all of that. So it'll be all good. It'll be really good, and you're going to love it. And so just stay tuned. It's a wonderful time.
It is.
To play catch up.
Yep.
If you have missed some episodes, or if you really like them, you can listen to them all over again.
Listen to them again. You know, sometimes if you read something more than once,
That's
or you
right.
listen
you get
to
a whole
something
different
more
thing
than
out
once,
of it.
yeah, you get a little bit something else out of it. So, you know, go back and check some stuff out. You know, just go through, browse through the little catalog. You know, see what we've got setting up there.
Dude, you say catalog.
To do that, you know, those things.
Check out the catalog.
You know what I mean? Do that. Man.
Yes, the catalog, everybody. Check out the catalog.
That's what it's there for.
Of
Just in case you missed an episode, you go back and check out the catalog.
I can't do it.
It's all greasy. So anyway, tonight,
bringing it back together.
We're going to talk about just, it's kind of like for our single people or our dating people. You know,
not quite married yet, people.
Not quite married yet, people. You know, because
at that point, it's too late.
it can be. You got to be more careful.
Just related to the things we're talking about.
And our kids, our young kids are well, they grown, but, you know, are still, we have one child who's seriously embarking upon marriage.
Yes.
Our other two are still single and dating and, you know, getting themselves prepared, you know, for a spouse and looking for the right spouse. So that's kind of like what we're going to talk about tonight, just a little bit. We can get all kinds of into this, you know, but just to have some fun, we've got the topic being, you know, single or dating, for single or dating people. But we got categories. We got 3 categories like we've had before with our conversation jar. We've got the index cards with some topics on them that we're just gonna discuss them.
Just gonna discuss them. And this is really great advice, by the way. If you're already married and you have children, as you're teaching them who to look for, you know, in a potential mate as they're, you know, dating, you know, just giving them some good solid marriage advice.
Yup.
You'll enjoy this episode.
Yup. You wanna go first? You wanna go first?
You go first.
I'll hold it up. And if you can see it, it says red flags. So why do we want to pay attention to red flags when we're looking for a potential spouse?
Or just dating in general, yeah.
Yes.
So let's talk about what red flags are. I mean, I feel like they're probably... So red flags are probably obvious. Red flags are anything that you should pay attention to as a negative, that it would be maybe something that would let you know that that is not a good match for you. or just not a good relationship to be in. So red flags are sort of those negative
things that you feel are something that you don't want to have in a relationship.
Yeah.
And red flags are going to be different for, everybody. But whatever you see as a potential red flag, you need to pay attention to it. Don't put yourself in that position. One thing is for sure, you can't change somebody else.
Right. That's the truth.
You can't. So that's why you need to pay attention to these red flags. Don't think, man, I just, I can change her, or women think, oh, that's okay, I can change him. No, you can't change him, or you can't change her. If it's a potential red flag, you need to pay attention to that flag and just be like, we need to have a serious discussion about this before we move any further, because it's something that bothers me.
Well, and a red flag generally is like a lot more serious than
stinky feet.
Stinky feet. Dorito toes.
Somebody got problems. Some people, we know people that have problems with feet.
Yes.
So a stinky foot might be a red flag for the person that already has problems.
I'm going to need you to leave our friends alone, please. Yes. The specific friend enjoys baby feet, but once they move out of like babyhood, they just are repulsed by feet.
Don't show the foot.
Don't walk around barefoot. Keep some socks near on me. Your feet around me.
It can be clean.
Don't matter. Just repulsed by feet.
It's not the ugly of the feet.
It doesn't matter. They can be beautiful feet. They're repulsed by feet.
So that could be a red flag.
Our friend, you wrong.
I didn't look. You the one who's being specific about our friend. I just said we know people.
Yes,
you've taken that whole thing and just kind of condensed it to a specific person.
I did not.
Or a specific.
I just gave them a title in our life.
I wouldn't have did that though.
I know.
All right, so
red flags. Watch out for red flags. Why do you watch out for red flags? Why is it important to watch out for red flags?
Because they cause problems.
Yes.
If you're not, they cause problems. Simply because
there's generally danger warnings, right? Like
let's say like anger. Now, people can be angry. You can be angry. You can get upset about something.
Right. But
if you are more of a, there you go. If you are more of a mild person, and anger it's an out of control anger. That may be a red flag for you because you just, you
go from 0 to 10.
You don't want to deal with that. That may be intimidating to you. Not the fact that we can, somebody can just be angry and just be upset about something. But when you start going ballistic about things, that could be a red flag to you.
And it probably should be a red flag to most people. Now, I'm a recovering angeraholic, so I totally understand. However, it is not good for the other person. So until that person gets themselves under control, you definitely probably don't want to attach yourself to them in an official capacity, such as marriage. That's something you could work through. You can work on, but they have to be willing to, of course. But, or what about, abuse? People that are very abusive in their anger, I was not necessarily, but, verbally, but not physically. So verbal abuse, that's a red flag. Physical abuse, definitely a red flag. Lying.
Yeah.
Lying, you can't build a foundation of trust on a lie, so lying is not good.
Lack of financial responsibility.
Can't keep a job,
or you just can't keep money in your pocket. Like you don't know how to manage your money, and it like you got holes in your pockets, or let's say if you have a like gambling addiction, and you just like to go and stuff just You know, whatever it is.
Drug addiction. Addictions in general can be really, you know. So those are just a few. Obviously, there's a ton out there. But it's important that you pay attention to red flags. It's important that you don't overlook them and say, oh, but I love him. I can work that out. I can work through that. I can work with that.
Or she's so sexy. Or she's a dime.
Should you?
Or she's a trophy. You know. But you can be all pretty on the outside all you want to, and your inside is ugly. You know, and you don't want to have to deal with that.
True. So, what I was saying.
Did I go overboard or something? My bad.
I was like mid-sentence. My mouth was still in the motion. Like,
I'm sorry. It just came out. It was just, you know, it was flowing.
I see.
Just, you know, that was just that thing.
Yes. So while you may feel like you could work through something, why should you work through something? Because all those little somethings start adding up. And once you're married, because we believe married for life, once you're married, it's harder to work through it because there's no exit plan. You know what I'm saying? Now, if somebody is abusive, somebody is, you know, cheating, things like, I mean, there are... Definitely get out. Somebody is, you know, abusing you, you know, molesting you in any way. You know what I'm saying? You get out, of course, obviously. But it's a lot harder when you're married to separate yourself from somebody. So pay attention to red flags, specifically while you're dating, and cut that joker off.
Cut it off, or at least
right.
communicate about it. You know, talk about it. You know, maybe that person doesn't realize who they really are. You know,
they may not think, like, I didn't think my anger was that bad.
Right.
I really didn't. I don't think I realized I was even verbally abusive, to be 100% honest. I don't know that I would have categorized myself as that. You know what I'm saying? But if we had been able to communicate, we could have worked things out much earlier than we ended up, you know, doing. But so that's a situation where, okay, that red flag would have been worked through because we'd have worked through it before we got married. But since we, you know, rushed and got married, we didn't even know those situations existed. So, so if you're just taking your time and you're not rushing into marriage and you haven't rushed into marriage, just pay attention to red flags. It's really important. Don't overlook them. Too many people overlook red flags and then they end up completely miserable.
Yeah. Drinking. I didn't think I was alcoholic. Functioning alcoholic. Just because I wake up in the morning and drink a 40 before you go to work. I didn't.
Never have guessed it, huh?
Never. But I thought that was just social drinking because everybody did it. When we was in the military, that's all we did.
You were social drinking in the morning?
I was social drinking in the morning before you get...
You are really social, Bubba.
You know, toss one up before you went to work. And
but then, in the military, there was a lot of people. There was a lot of people that were like
your
that,
lunch break, and you go out, hit a couple on your lunch break. By the time you get off work, you're feeling good. Then you'd go to the liquor store, and then you'd pick up a bottle. Then you'd have a few, and then you'd go to the club, and you'd drink some at the club. And you know you had to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning, so you stay out till 4, get a half hour's worth of sleep, get a little breakfast, and go back to work. But I didn't think about it that way until you said something.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't happy with that because I thought it was just, well, everybody's doing it. This is just the way life is, you know, and I didn't pay attention to it till you said something about it. So pay attention to those red flags.
It's cool if you can work through them.
Have the conversation, you know, talk about it, bring it up, you know, go back through and listen to our previous podcast about communication. Learn how to bring it up in a comfortable environment to where you can have those types of conversations. Doesn't mean that you can't get with that person, but I would say only do it after you've had the conversation and you can really see progress and improvement on both of your parts, you know, before you put yourself in that situation that you may regret at some point later, and it's not easy to get out of those situations.
Well, I think you really just brought up a good point, is think about yourself. It's not always just the other person that's exhibiting those red flags. You may have red flags that the other person is noticing. So don't just think it's the other person. Be aware of yourself, you know. Just having that self-knowledge and understanding. If somebody brings something to you, don't be like...
Don't be offended.
Yeah.
Take it into consideration.
Absolutely.
All right. Subject number 2. body count.
Sir, what does that mean?
Does body count matter?
What is
When you
body
are
count?
single or dating somebody, you're potentially going to start this relationship with somebody, and you're planning to marry somebody, and you start having those conversations about who you've been with. How many people have you been with? Or have you been with so-and-so and them? So that can be a very interesting conversation. And to some people, I will say, there are some gentlemen that I know and some other gentlemen that I have heard of that will say body count absolutely matters. Absolutely.
So by body count, the number of sexual partners. So that it matters because
the number and or who. The who can be important to some people too.
Well, the who should absolutely be important to somebody. I mean, I'm not trying to. You was with my friend. I'm not doing that.
Friends or the scumbags or
siblings. I mean,
any of it.
No. So, which is interesting because if you're not a virgin yourself, you should truly not be expecting to marry a virgin. I think that's pretty hypocritical. However, I wish that I had done a better job of protecting my own situation. I did not. Neither did you.
Why you gotta throw me under the bus?
Because we are equal partners in this mess.
We are unequally yoked in that department.
That's a lie from the pit of hell, brother. You better quit right now, sir. Sir, I'm going to get it together.
Does body count matter?
It can. I think it's personal preference. I think there are people out there who have saved themselves and they don't want to be with somebody who didn't do the same. I think there's a lot of people out there that think they would rather try it before they buy it. Now, we all know what God says. So this is not, we are not saying it's okay to fornicate. We're not saying it's okay to have sex outside of marriage. We're not saying that that is okay. We did all of that pre-salvation. Thank you, God, for forgiving us for our sins. Absolutely. So this is not judgmental and it's not free love to everyone. We're just having this one conversation. So, yeah, I think it's interesting though. I think
it's more challenging.
I think traditionally it was expected that the woman would stay chaste and that the man would get experience. I think that's, the whole sowing your wild oats was around men and getting it out of their systems before they got married. I think women traditionally, again, were expected to hold it down. And
what's goofy about that is when you think about that, who are they going to get it in and get the experience
Exactly.
Had to be the loose ones that wasn't planning on getting married.
Good Lord. I mean, you even hear stories about, this is old. I mean, hopefully, gosh, I hope we've learned something. But, back in the day, dads would take their, their sons when they hit a certain age to, brothels and stuff. Which that's smart. Let's take your child to the place that could get them a disease. But cool, okay.
They get their experience.
But, yeah, so I think that, that traditionally, but I think that now it's definitely
more challenging.
It's more challenging because it's more open and available. People aren't, not even the ladies are staying chaste anymore. I mean, ladies are out there getting it, if not, more the same, or if not more than the guys
have the same
are. I mean,
attitude that guys had. Like, instead of getting their emotions involved, then it's like, I'm gonna get mine and keep it moving. So I'm sure there are plenty of people who, may not necessarily be virgins, but maybe have one or two experiences.
Much more selective. Not spreading themselves all over town, but just a lot more selective
than other people. But since sex is not viewed as respectable as it used to be, when we were growing up, it's everywhere. It's being taught that it's basically okay, that you don't have to wait for marriage. That's old time thinking. You don't have to do that. Well, you're not doing that. You're selling yourself short. You are giving yourself away. Every time you have sex with somebody, you're creating a soul tie. You're giving part of your soul away. It's so much deeper than just get your rocks off and have a good time. You know, you are giving a piece of you, you know, away. So please, you know, be careful about, you know, look, Bobby Brown, his prerogative, and he didn't see nothing wrong with spreading himself around, and everybody else out there. A lot of music nowadays is just talking about, you know, these wild and crazy
Well, it has
sexual
been for generations,
you know, stuff,
now.
this, that, and the third. Please just think about yourself. Respect yourself. No matter what he or she may be trying to offer you or talk you into, respect yourself.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, when you think of it more as you're like a prize, and if you wait and then when you guys have sex, you know, on your wedding night, it's so much more special because it's only between the two of you. You know, a lot of people, you know, they'll have sex outside of marriage, you know, before getting married, and then they get into a relationship, a committed relationship, and the sex maybe isn't as good as previous experiences. Well, guess what? If you ain't having sex with people, you wouldn't even know if you were missing anything or not.
Word.
Because this is all you know. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that we just screw ourselves up. I think it takes the spiritual aspect away. I think it makes it dirty. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's real, like true, it makes it dirty. It is dirty if it's sin, right? But when you get married, then you still look at sex as sin if you've been doing it outside of marriage. Sometimes you come into marriage with that same mindset because that's what you've known is, you know, that sinful version, when really God meant it to be holy and a spiritual thing. So we just really gyp ourselves, you know, to start with when we have sex before marriage.
Yep, and all of the different experiences and soul ties that you've created and you're trying to get into, like she said, a relationship with somebody that you love, and you could be comparing, you know, your current,
that happens a lot,
you know, to other experiences that you had, and now this person may not live up to those sexual expectations that you had before, and that can create an issue.
Yep.
So, to some people, body count matters, and to some people, it doesn't. I'm not going to say that it should or shouldn't to you. My suggestion would be that if it does matter, make sure that you both have completely cut everything off between all previous partners, which means, you know, like I said, the soul ties, get rid of that. So there's nothing that can come up in your memory or, you know, thinking about, you know, this person, whatever it could be. Get healing from all of that past stuff and move into your new relationship with a better mindset and focus on the intimacy aspect.
Yeah.
Create your own intimacy. Let it be passionate and loving, not just lustful. We talked about a few things on the last podcast. You know, go listen to that one. But have your experience with your new spouse, because we're going to say spouse because we believe in marriage. But just be careful out there. And we tell our kids the same thing. You know, don't be out there scumbagging. Don't nobody want that. You spreading yourself thin. People are going to know.
Giving yourself away to everybody.
And that's the thing, too. Not to say that we necessarily do, but in a small town, and people know all about your business. You don't want that. So self-respect.
Yeah.
Self-respect. It ain't cool to be out there being loosey-goosey. That ain't cool. I don't care what song, what star is your favorite actor, actress, and, you know, they change relationships like it's nobody's business.
Right.
You know, you don't have to do what they're doing. Pay attention to yourself. All right. Next and last topic is your list. Now, what do we mean by your list? The importance of sticking to your list.
So what is a list, you might ask?
What is a list?
So a list, Teray is very adamant, and he has taught all of our children this, and I agree completely. It's just sort of been his thing. But that when the kids get to a certain age and they're starting to be really interested in, serious relationships, things like that, he has sat down with each one of them and he has shared the list. So the list is essentially what you're looking for in a spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And so not like the lofty, like, oh, she's got to be 5'6" with long legs and a tiny waist. Like, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about much more substantial qualities and characteristics, and somebody who's good with money, or somebody who's
some good character,
what are
integrity,
the things that are important to you in a partner, a spouse, a life partner, right?
Career, goals,
goal-oriented, driven,
family,
financially stable, things like that. So number 1 is make your list.
Make it.
Number 2,
check it twice,
is make sure that you're bringing that same energy to the table.
You're going to find out if they naughty or nice.
Don't be over here asking for $1 million while you living on 10. Like, no, if you're making this list, you need to be somebody who is going to catch that list's attention. If you want somebody with a high drive, like a high drive for success, career, things like
goals,
that, then you should have a nice high drive. Don't be like wanting somebody, because somebody with a high drive isn't going to want somebody who's sitting on the couch watching TV all night.
No, that's right.
So that's important. And then when you meet somebody, the idea is that you want to make sure that they hit at least 85%?
At least 85%
of the list, because nobody's 100%. And if they were, then life would be boring because everything would be perfect. So, but you want to make sure that things that are really important to you are there. And if they're not, then that becomes sort of that red flag category, because they are lacking things that really matter to you. And if you say, oh, I'm so in love, I'm willing to sacrifice that, 10 years down the line, you may not feel that way. So you need to, that's why you make the list. It's sort of like outside of your emotions, you make a sort of like a logical, practical list.
Absolutely.
And again, it's not about their appearance unless that's super important to you.
But don't be superficial.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But you want to be able to identify the right person when they come along. And you definitely don't want to miss out. And you don't want to fall for somebody who's not living up to the things you really, really want in a spouse. Now, keep in mind that things that you want when you're 20 may look different when you're 30. So you may have to revise your list, whether it's annually, semi-annually, not semi-annually, like every 5 years is what I was thinking. But so it just is important to make a list and sort of stick to that when you're dating, so that automatically, like, oh, this ain't gonna work.
Right.
Because this person, I put this on my list because this is really important to me, and they really don't live up to it, even though I really like her and I really think this, and this. This may be a deal breaker for me, so let me just see how this looks like. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And don't jump too fast. Give yourself some time to get to know whoever this person is, because that first 6 months to a year of that, googly eyes, I think I like her and she likes me, and all of that stuff will wear off.
She thinks I'm so cute.
That stuff will fade eventually, and then you'll get to see who they really are, just like they're going to get to see who you really are.
Yes.
So you need to be who you're supposed to be.
Yep.
And whatever list, like she said, that you have, you're living up to a standard that somebody else is going to look at you and you have everything that they need. So make sure that you are preparing yourself for your spouse. If you're not at a place where you can really start looking, then you're in preparation mode.
Yep.
And everybody else that comes along and you're in preparation mode, they need to be put on the side while you're still preparing yourself. Because then sometimes relationships too early throw you off track. You get distracted from the goals that you're trying to achieve because somebody caught your eye or caught your attention. Then you find out that person really wasn't 85% on your list. You just got sidetracked. So it's important. Just do it. Do it and have a measuring mechanism.
Yeah, it
to,
just sort of
to
gives you a
line
framework to
people up.
work with.
And if they don't line up with, I'm not saying don't, X amount of your life, but they can friend zone. That's what it's called, right? Yeah. Put them in the friend zone. We can be cool, but I'm still on track because I've got goals, and I can't let you sidetrack me from the goals that I have set. Now, if you're working on your goals and I'm working on my goals, then that's something that we can, work together to help each other. See, that's how that thing can work. But I can't. I got goals, and I can't drag you. That's dead weight. I gotta let you go because I got something I need to do or I'm doing with my life. So
it's important to have conversations about the things that are on your list. What you're really looking for, because the right person, really may not be demonstrating it now, but, give them 6 months and a couple conversations or them watching you do it. And who knows, you may unleash the beast and they might be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know I could be this person. So we're not just telling you to be like, oh, check, you don't meet. Oh, check, you don't meet, and then drop them, get to know them. But if at the end of the day, they truly don't line up, then this is what I say. This is going to sound terrible, so take it with a grain of salt. It's junk in your life. I don't believe people are junk, but it junks up your life and gets in the way of where God is really trying to get you. So if you fall for this person, but God really had this person over here for you, you're going to miss out on that because you're messing with the wrong thing. So when I say junk, I say it's junk in your life. It may be the perfect priceless treasure for someone else. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think that's sound advice, and I think that's a good thing to do. So, I think we've cleared up, not cleared up, but we've taken care of our 3 topics for the main topic of single people and dating people, just to have some fun, but also to throw some stuff out there that we think is very important. So, just remember, we're going to be out of here or off for the next 2 weeks. We'll be back on March 8th with season 2,
baby.
So we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Once again, if you haven't, go back through and get caught up with season 1, just like you do on Netflix or your Hulu
binge
or whatever.
Binge it, baby. Binge watch, binge listen.
They ain't even that long, So really go ahead and get caught up, and then we'll see you all on season 2 when season 2 pops up.
That's right.
All right. So we appreciate you. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Absolutely.
And look forward to season 2. Once again, I'm Teray.
And I'm Janine.
And this is Covenant Therapy Marriage Ministry. And we'll see you soon in season 2.
Yep.
See ya.
See ya.